Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Devon, and today I am going to show you how I make the most delicious, simplest side dish ever. This is Southern string beans, and it has just been a family favorite. So what I'm going to do here first is that I have some thick cut bacon, and I have 3 pieces of bacon, and I'm using my kitchen shears there, and I just like to go on and just get in there with my kitchen shears and cut my bacon up into small bite-sized pieces. Okay. Oh, and also, if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to my channel, go on and hit the subscribe button. And if you like what you see at the end of the video, go on and give us a thumbs up and share with your family and friends. So anyway, I'm finishing cutting up our thick cut bacon, and I'm using 3 pieces of thick cut bacon. But if you have a regular cut bacon, you can use like 4 to 5 pieces. Or if you say, you know what, you don't care to use bacon, you can just leave it out. You can also use ham hock. A lot of folks use ham hock, and so do I. Another thing you can also use is some smoked turkey wings or smoked turkey necks. That also works really well. But I like this because you know what? I usually always have some bacon in the house. So bacon, onion, string beans, the potatoes, really simple ingredients, but it's all about how you put it together, right? So anyway, now I have my onion. I'm using a half of a white onion. You can also use a brown onion as well. And this is going to give us about half a cup of chopped onion. And that's what you want, half a cup of chopped onion. Now, if you really like onion, you can add in extra if you like, but half a cup of chopped onion in this recipe will work just fine, no problem. And now as far as our string beans, I have a bag there of frozen fresh string beans. So they were fresh, and then I froze them in a freezer bag, and I have about 4 to 6 cups right there of frozen string beans. Now you can just use some frozen string beans that you find in your freezer section, or a lot of times I'll get some fresh string beans, and I'll go on and I'll peel them and take those little ends off and pluck those little side veins, and I'll just snap them, put them in my bag, freeze them, and we are good to go. Okay, now the potatoes. I'm using Yukon Gold potatoes in this recipe. You want to use Yukon Gold, or also what's referred to as new potatoes, because these potatoes are nice and hearty, and they are going to stay nice and firm, and they will not break down in your pot as your string beans are boiling and cooking. Okay, now you do not want to use russet potatoes, because after a while of cooking your string beans, those russet potatoes, they will start to fray, and the next thing you know, your potato start off one size, and you look and you like your potato is just disintegrating in your pot. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're using a sturdier potato like a Yukon Gold, or like my mom used to call them, a new potato. You can also use a red potato if you like. If you like red potatoes, you just peel them just like I did with my potatoes, and you could just use a red potato as well. All right, so now in my pot, what we're going to do is we're going to go on and get our bacon going. I just put my bacon right in my hot pot, and my fire is on medium, and I'm going to saute the bacon. You want to get your bacon not 100% crispy. You don't want your bacon super crispy, but you want your bacon to be nice and done and cooked through, okay? Because we will be adding our onion to this, and you want your onion to give time to cook, and you don't want to over brown your bacon. You don't want to have burnt bacon in your pot. You don't want that taste. Okay, so anyway, I'm letting our bacon go on, and it's cooking. I'm rendering down that fat from the bacon, and again, like I said, you can use the ham hock if you like to flavor this. That is traditional and it works well. You can also, like I said, use that turkey neck, the smoked turkey neck, or smoked turkey wing. That works well, in this recipe. So I've added my chopped onion, my half a cup of white chopped onion, and we're going to go on and mix this all around in our pot. And like I said, this is a recipe that's so super simple. It is just something that we always have done and had in my family. And you know what? This is also a way that we also do our greens. Sometimes you can do it with the onions and sometimes without. It's your preference, but it's basically the same concept, y'all. And it's just so nice and so easy to do. And let me tell you, you bring this to a function. You have this on your dinner table. It is pleasing for everybody. Trust me, your friends and family will be like, who brought these string beans? You made these string beans? Oh, these are good, girl. Let me tell you. So anyway, after we have sauteed our bacon and our onion, I'm going to go on and add in a little bit of water. Now, we are going to use about 4 to 6 cups of water, and that's kind of depending on how many string beans you have. But initially, when you add your water to your pot, I only added a couple of cups of water because that way it's easy for me to go on and stir around in there and get up any of that fond that's in the bottom of our pot, because remember, fond is all flavor, okay? And so that way it's easy. You don't want your water splashing all over your pot. So it's easier to control it if you just add a little bit of water to your pot. Get the fond off the bottom and then go on and add the rest of your ingredients. So I've added my string beans. This is about 4 cups of fresh string beans that I've added. Once I have my string beans in, I'm going to go on and add my water. And your water is going to be determined on, like I said, about how many string beans, but you don't want to put too much water in your pot. I just like to fill my pot until my string beans and my potatoes, I'm going to add the potatoes here. My string beans and my potatoes are nice and covered, because as your pot boils, some of that water is going to evaporate. All right. And so I just want to have it just kind of covered. Just a little bit more water. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my pot. And like I said, I just want to make sure there's enough for the string beans to boil in the pot adequately, as well as those potatoes we have in there. Now, once I have all my water in the pot, I'm going to go on and add in some seasoning. And I'm using kosher salt. And I like to use kosher salt because it's not as salty as traditional salt. And I'm just adding a half a teaspoon right there. I'm just putting in a half a teaspoon of coarse kosher salt. All right. And I'm going to give my pot a nice stir. And as we go on throughout cooking our string beans, towards the end, we're going to add some more seasoning, and we're just going to add our seasoning to taste, okay? And so when I put my lid on my pot of my string beans, I like to put it off center a bit, just like that. All right. And so that way it can go on and boil and cook, but just have a little bit off center, because that's how my mom used to always do it. And so now let's go on and give our string beans a stir. See how it's looking? Our string beans have been boiling for about an hour now. Our potatoes are still nice and together. Our seasoning, our onion, our bacon is just all really come together nicely. And so we're going to give this a taste. We're going to see how tender our string beans are and if it needs a little bit more time. Okay, let's see how they're looking. Let's see. The fork is going through, which is always a good sign that the string beans have started to soften and get nice and tender. Let's give it a try. These string beans are tasting good, y'all. Really good. With a little bit of that bacon in there. I got a little bit of that onion. And now I like to go on and add some crushed red pepper flakes. And I'm just adding a little bit. Now, the crushed red pepper flakes is optional. You can leave them out if you like, but I just feel it adds a little something to the pot. And if you really like some spice, you can go on and add a little bit more. And I'm also going to add a little bit more seasoning. And remember, the seasoning is to your taste, okay? And so I'm adding a little bit more seasoning, and it's going to help to season those potatoes. I'm just giving it a nice stir, and that is it. I'm going to put the lid back on my pot. I'm going to give it about 10 more minutes to simmer, and that is it, guys. Our string beans are done. So simple, so good. Do you see that? Just so simple, so good. Nice, rich flavor. And that's it. Do you look at this? You see you've got the onion, you got those pieces of bacon, the potato that's in there. You put this with any meal, chicken, turkey, ham. You put just by itself with some cornbread, a nice piece of cornbread. You go sit down and there you have it. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this content, give us a thumbs up. Well, it is always good when Devon is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.